Right.
And so the first question is about the origins of Halloween. What are the origins of Halloween? So we've looked into that some, and I have some here, and then we're going to take this a little bit further. But this is interesting because we're looking back into history, and there are opinions. We don't really know. They look for evidence, you try to figure it out. And so these are the basic things that people have figured out.
Right.
And what most people think is that it's a pagan holiday that was somehow brought into Christianity. But most of the evidence actually points away from that, and that actually Halloween is a Christian holiday.
That's right. That's surprising, but Halloween is a Christian holiday.
It's
okay. So let's go back, because we go back in the Roman Empire, where all of a sudden, with the stroke of a pen, the entire empire becomes Christian overnight. Right. And so instead of people praying to Mars, they will now pray to Saint Martin. And the names of the gods were changed a little bit. And so these saints and the dead saints. This is something that was finally encoded in
Catholicism, and then it got brought over eventually.
That's right.
But it was it started off with a good thing of there were a lot of Christians being martyred.
That's right.
And they decided, well, we should honor them. But then they're turned into all these days for all these different martyrs. So they determined that there should be an All Saints Day or an All Martyrs Day. But you know when it was? It was May 13th. And and that's why it was. But around 800 and so, Pope Gregory IV moved it to November 1st. And they claim that it was because summertime, they didn't want people coming up to Rome. It was very hot. But it's very, very strange that it would do that, because by that time, it had become really looking back at the dead and the souls of the dead, and even, honoring and maybe even into the worship of the dead and spirits. And isn't it interesting that there is a Celtic holiday? That's
right. This is France and Britain that were involved in this holiday. Yes. And it was...
And it's pronounced, it's spelled in English S-A-M-H-A-M, but it's really pronounced like Samhain or Samhain. And it is a Celtic holiday where it felt that at this time, right where October 31st, November 1st come together, where the year is sort of moving from light to darkness, that the spiritual world is closer. There's sort of an open door. And at that point, spirits are moving back and forth. And
and especially evil spirits, the spirits of the dead coming and attacking people at this time.
And so there were all these traditions that came in to maybe even put on a costume so that they wouldn't be able, an evil spirit that was coming to get you wouldn't recognize you.
Right, because you look scarier than the demons that are coming to get you. So
and so it became this whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's about the dead, and so we can sort of say, well, that it's really a Christian holiday and things like that, and it's still not. But why in the world, when we look at Rome, that was famous for syncretizing, biblical things, right? The biblical feasts, and syncretizing them with the pagans to try to put it together. It seems that Pope Gregory did the same thing of bringing a Celtic holiday and this Day of the Souls together.
Well, and this is something you learn from Constantine. This is a very simple thing. Constantine says, now everyone will rest on the venerable day of the sun, because he was a worshiper of Sol Invictus Mithra, the Roman sun god. And then the child mass, the winter solstice, at that time, that's when they did child sacrifice, the winter Saturnalia, and so they co-opted that, the birthday of Tammuz, to be the birthday of Jesus. So this is something that has been done historically by the Roman Church. And so...
Right, and so you see what happens when we try to bring something that we feel is honoring and is something that's somehow sanctified through the church into something that is pagan, secularized culture. It's very hard to resist pagan, secularized culture. You get a little too close to the flame, and it's very easy to get sucked in. And now we come, thousands of years later, and we look at Halloween and we go, well, it has all of these symbolisms. It's all pagan. It's all that, and we can't have anything to do with this. This isn't a Christian holiday. We need to stay away from it. Wait a minute. It is a Christian holiday. It was started All Hallows Eve, All Halloween. This is not, we're not calling it Samhain. We're not calling it that.
Right,
Now,
right.
we'll get to in a little bit who still is, and that this is a very, very active day. But Christians nowadays say, we need, some say we need to stay away from it, or maybe there's ways that we can, get close to it, and yet we already have a picture of how that happens.
Right, because now they're talking about doing a harvest festival at the same time.
Right.
It's like, no, Halloween is the Christian festival.
Right.
This is what we replaced the evil spirits and the demonic worship and child sacrifice, also done, and human sacrifice that was done that way. Now we changed it into a day of praying to dead saints, which is absolutely insane because dead saints are dead saints. They're not answering prayers. They're dead, okay? Dead people don't turn into angels. Angels are angels. Dead people are dead people.
Or it was praying for people in purgatory, but then when the Protestants got into it, someone said, we don't believe in purgatory, but they still co-opted it and they still brought it in. And then, and then they bring in the Celtic stuff, and it all gets mixed together, and then it comes to, and then the Puritans in America didn't want to have anything to do with it, but then Scottish and Irish immigrants brought it over, and now, of course, it's completely within the culture.